As you make plans this season, consider convenient COVID-19 testing from Quest. Get the same test hospitals use without a doctor visit. Simply order online, select from drive-through or at-home options, and get the results sent securely to your phone or computer. It's a great fit for your busy life. With over 20 million COVID-19 tests processed, you can count on Quest. So order your test today at questcovid19.com. That's questcovid19.com.
Whether you have your own bathroom or you share one with your family, a little extra help keeping the bathroom sink, counter, and mirror clean goes a long way. And Viva paper towels are for the long haul. They're 2 times more durable when wet compared to the leading value brand. And they clean like cloth, helping you keep the surfaces in your bathroom dry and fingerprint and toothpaste free. For an exceptional bathroom clean, there's Viva paper towels. Visit vivatowels.com to learn more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. We have an article today that's going to add a little bit more context and just some more meat to that bone. The article today is going to talk about how Prince Andrew made an official state visit to Santa Fe, New Mexico in 2003 and was received by none other than alleged fellow abuser Bill Richardson. There's pictures of them swapping gifts, all kinds of stuff. Now the question at hand is, where did Prince Andrew stay while he was in New Mexico? Obviously, in my opinion, he was at Zorro Ranch. But there's no official record about where he stayed while he was in New Mexico. That's funny, isn't it? I wonder why that wouldn't be put into the record. I thought that the Royal Diary was one of these types of books where all the information goes into. There's no way that the diary could have ever been messed with. Please, give me a break. All right? That sort of excuse is such BS. I don't believe in any of these official record-keeping apparatuses. All of these people are questionable, in my opinion. All of these people who are in charge of these sorts of diaries or logbooks, how do we know that we can trust what has been put into these books? I know that's horrible to have to live like that, right? I know it sucks to have to question everything, but the so-called elite that would rule over us have proven to us time and time again that their narrative cannot be trusted, that what they say cannot be trusted, that where they say they're going on official state business, well, that can't be trusted either. And once they arrive at their destination, Lord only knows what they're doing on the people's dime. And Andrew was one of the biggest examples of that. A person who used his position as trade envoy to enrich himself, who had no shame while he was doing it. In fact, Fergie was riding along on the coattails as well. So this isn't something that was new to Prince Andrew. He didn't, it wasn't something that he just figured out when he met Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew, for his whole entire time as this trade envoy, was using that position to give himself more wealth and to increase his own power. And in 2003, that job as a trade envoy brought him to New Mexico. And now let's see what this article has to say about that trip. This article is from The Sun, and the author is Emma Parry and Chris White. Headline: Prince's pal Prince Andrew pictured with sex scandal governor amid concern he stayed at infamous Epstein Ranch on official visit. This article was published in January of 2020. In pictures unearthed by The Sun, the Duke can be seen grinning as he gives a gift to Bill Richardson, the former governor of New Mexico, who has been implicated in the Epstein sex scandal during an official visit to New Mexico in 2003. All right, so We have a picture here from the Santa Fe New Mexican. It's a newspaper in New Mexico, and it's a smiling Joe Exotic of the Windsor family and Bill Richardson's unkempt, disgusting-looking ass sitting at a table swapping gifts. And the headline is, Richardson wants state to increase its trade with Britain. Governor, Prince swap presents. And it shows you right there, okay, circumstantially, right? Here is the evidence of these two being together a mere 45 minutes from Zorro Ranch, folks, all right? In 2003. And we've heard that, I thought that, Prince Andrew wasn't in New Mexico. I thought he had nothing to do with that. I thought the New York residence is where I went to go and visit. I stayed there because it was convenient. Well, you also stayed in New Mexico, you lying sack of shit. Now there's mounting concern that Andrew stayed at pedophile Epstein's notorious baby-making Zorro Ranch, which is just a short 45-minute drive from where the official state visit took place. And now, for those of you who are not familiar with Santa Fe, well, it's a nice little place, right? If you're going there and I guess you're with your wife or you're in your 60s or your 70s, fantastic place to go and visit and walk around the little downtown area, check out some of the cultural areas that they have there, the museums, etc., etc. But there ain't shit for the Prince of England to do in Santa Fe, folks. All right? He's certainly not going to be at Tramp doing the two-step. It is only obvious that after his official visit, after he put on that smiling, stupid grin of his, and after him and fellow scuzzbag Bill Richardson were done Googling for the camera, they obviously went down to Jeffrey Epstein's house to have a bit of an after party. The prince spent 3 days in New Mexico, October 20th, 21st, and 22nd as the UK's trade envoy, but neither the palace or the office for the governor of New Mexico can confirm where he stayed. I wonder why. What's the big deal about confirming where he stayed? What is it, some sort of secret of state? Nobody could know if the Prince of England stayed in some hotel in Santa Fe, or if he stayed in, say, his friend's ranch? What's the big deal? Why will they not talk about stuff like that? Again, I've been in Santa Fe, okay? I was there in February. Beautiful place. I don't want to sound like I'm trashing it because I am not. It is a beautiful place to go and check out for a couple of days, visit, take pictures. The architecture is amazing. The people were absolutely amazing. Very nice people. But there is nothing for billionaire, ritzy playboys to do in Santa Fe. I'll take it a step further. There's nothing for these people to do in Albuquerque either. They weren't doing an after party at the local pizza shop, okay? On the first day, he held a press conference with Richardson in Santa Fe, an hour's drive from Zorro Ranch, where they both swapped presents. Andrew received a black concho belt, while Richardson was given a wine coaster, which was handmade by a cousin of the royal. Well, here you go, buddy. Have yourself a nice little wine coaster that was made by a cousin of the royal. What does that even mean, a wine coaster? The Prince of England shows up to talk about a trade deal. He gets a concho belt, whatever that is, and he gives in return a wine coaster. What is this, the year 1500, where settlers are landing in new worlds and trading beads for gold? What is going on here? The trip was covered by the local newspaper, the Santa Fe New Mexican, who spoke to Andrew at the time, said he was honored to be in New Mexico. He added, "We have a great deal in common. We want to improve trade with you and the United States. So in Andrew speak, that is, if you want to have more trade with England, you're going to have to make sure my palm gets greased. Because without you greasing my palm and me getting some sort of workaround deal where I get a couple of extra fazools on the back end, you ain't getting no extra trade deal with my mom in England. Are you kidding me right now? That's pretty much how Andrew rolled, right? We know about all of his dealings with gun runners and arms dealers and other unsavory characters. Prince Andrew's accuser, Virginia Roberts, has since claimed in court documents that she was told by the disgraced financier, pedophile, to have sex with many prominent men, including Richardson. Both Prince Andrew and Richardson have denied any wrongdoing. Again, it blows my mind that nobody is going hard in the paint on people like Bill Richardson. You would think a high-profile politician in the United States like Bill Richardson would garner a few stories. But no, all we have are a couple of scratch-the-surface softball attempts to ask him what occurred with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody asking him the hard questions, no one digging deep, no one being unafraid to challenge him. And you see it time and time again with these politicians that have been accused. Very few people have had to answer hard questions over this Epstein scandal. Even though there is no official record of where the Duke stayed, he has admitted to staying at Epstein's houses in the U.S. during their friendship. Yeah, no shit you have. All right? That's one lie he can't tell. That's one story he can't spin. That's one narrative that they can't pump out. Because everybody knows the truth now. There's pictures of him at the house in New York. Everybody knows that you and Epstein were BFFs and that you were staying at Epstein's house because, quote unquote, it was convenient. In reality, we know why you were staying with him. Birds of a feather and all, right? Fellow travelers. In his recent BBC Newsnight interview, the Prince Andrew said he saw Epstein 2 or 3 times a year, adding, quite often if I was in the United States and doing things, and if he wasn't there, he would say, why don't you come and use my houses? So I said, that's very kind. Thank you very much indeed. So he was never around at the houses, right? You just show up and Epstein wasn't home, so you would just have free run of his house, huh? Yeah, okay. It's such BS that he's able to spin this sort of nonsense lies and people actually buy this shit. People actually run with this narrative. There are still people on Twitter, folks, if you would believe that are defending this guy, demeaning people like Virginia, all while defending Andrew. It is the most absurd shit I have ever seen in my life. And I can only imagine the fury when they're making their unhinged Twitter posts as they're furiously banging down on the keyboard. Don't talk about Prince Andrew anymore. So ridiculous. I can't even imagine being that ridiculous of a person. Go take a look in the mirror if you're defending any one of these scumbags. And take a good accounting of what's inside of your own soul because, again, I'm not talking for anybody else. I don't give a shit what anybody else says or thinks. How about that? Point blank, period. I'll just be straight up and tell you that, okay? What I'm calling for is a full investigation, all right? A robust investigation where all of these so-called elites are questioned under oath. And if you think that that's going too far, if you think that none of these people should ever have to answer questions, well then you're a douchebag, okay? Run home and tell that. This needs to be fully investigated. These are serious allegations. And for all of these years, nothing has been done. People have sat on their hands, the prosecution, the legacy media, the public in general. And now that there's some pushback, people can't believe that anybody would call out Prince Andrew's bitch ass. People can't believe that these girls are taking their narrative back. You have some absolute idiot morons who think that it's a good idea to sit on social media and talk shit to people. It sure must be nice to hide behind that keyboard, huh? Social media has gotten people way too comfortable saying shit that they would never, ever say in person. And that's why I just ignore you morons. You will never, ever elicit a response from me on social media, ever. But the fact that some of these people still think it's a good idea to get out there and champion douchebags like Prince Andrew or Ghislaine Maxwell, it just blows my mind. I just don't even understand it. It comes after a former staff member at Zorro Ranch revealed how Prince Andrew visited Zorro Ranch in the early 2000s, where he was entertained by a beautiful neurosurgeon believed to have been hired by Epstein. And we covered all of that as well. The neurosurgeon who was, Epstein in Epstein's pocket. She was, Epstein paid for her to go to school, the whole flip. And she was in turn palling around with the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family. Deirdre Stratton told the podcast Epstein, Devil in the Darkness, that the woman in her 20s stayed with the Duke in a 3-bedroom cottage at the ranch called The Lodge. Now, there are several buildings on this Zorro Ranch property. You have the main house, obviously, which is a couple of miles back up on a big hill. And then right from the gate, you see a whole gigantic complex of different buildings. You have a yellow building, this red building, one's a fake firehouse, and a whole bunch of different quarters for guests and for staff. And you also have the Western-themed area of the ranch. During the alleged visit, the woman believed to be hired to entertain him apparently came down to the property's kitchen to ask if they had any tea that would make the royal horny. So Prince Andrew's just, rolling around on state business on the English taxpayers' dime. So all of you over there in England who are already incensed about this shit, here's another one to add to the chart. Another thing to get fired up about, using your money to come hobnob around with this neurosurgeon lady that Jeffrey Epstein provided for him and drink tea that's going to make him horny. As opposed to doing work on the people of England's behalf, this dude's dicking around at Jeffrey Epstein's rape house, drinking tea with some neurosurgeon, running around with a priapism. The Sun has obtained the first pictures of the lodge the Duke allegedly stayed in. And then when you click on the link, obviously, you'll see all of these pictures. Inside of the pool area, there was a raunchy nude picture of Ghislaine Maxwell that hung by the pool. And that's another thing that always made me shake my head. All of these people that deny. What, you didn't get the grand tour, bitch? You didn't get a look around the whole entire place when you went to visit? You didn't say to yourself, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in the buff on the wall? No, none of you people said anything like that because it was normalized behavior to you. You were all fellow travelers, all sick bastards, and this is just how you roll. Deirdre believes the visit took place in 2001 or 2002, but admits that she could have had the exact year wrong and says she did work at the ranch in 2003. The Prince's trip was front-page local news, where he also visited a local college and observatory. So, again, when we were talking about Prince Andrew for sure 100% being in Santa Fe and down at Zorro Ranch, this is what I was referring to. I wanted to make sure that we added this context so you knew exactly what I was talking about. According to the local newspaper, the visit is part of his role as his country's ambassador of international trade and investment. He is seeking support for United Kingdom companies trading internationally and to encourage foreign investment. Well, what better than to have a party at your buddy Jeffrey Epstein's house after all of the quote-unquote work is done? Let's go celebrate. Let's go over to Jeffrey's house and hang out in the 8-person baby-making shower. Why don't we do that? That sounds like a fantastic time for everyone. And there's pictures, obviously, of the inside of Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in this article, and you'll definitely want to check that out. There's clippings from the newspaper from when it happened. Prince Andrew dedicates New Mexico telescope. The Santa Fe New Mexican is the paper, and it's on the front page of that paper from Tuesday, October 23rd, 2003. So again, you'll be able to check this out for yourself when you click the link. The court circular for October 19th to October 21st describes the visits and lists his various engagements, but does not state where he stayed. On October 20th, it states, the Duke of York this evening attended a dinner given by the governor of New Mexico at the governor's mansion, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Again, from what I know, Bill Richardson didn't even stay in the governor's mansion when he was in New Mexico. When he was the governor there, he stayed at his own residence and all of that jazz. So I'm sure they only did their formal meetings there, their formal dinners and shit there, but they were not hanging out in Santa Fe. Of that, I am sure. Again, it does not state whether Prince Andrew spent the night at the governor's mansion or elsewhere. Zorro Ranch is around 37 miles from the governor's mansion is around 37 miles from Epstein's 10,000-acre ranch. When asked whether or not Prince Andrew stayed or visited Zorro Ranch on official state business, the palace said, all official engagements undertaken by members of the royal family are recorded on the court circular. And again, with the court circular, I don't buy it, okay? I don't believe that is the, the Bible, right? We have everything in there sacred. I don't know who put that shit in there. I don't know if the person making the entries is a scuzzbag or not. How do I know that I can trust that person? How do I know that that person isn't on Andrew's payroll and isn't part of the whole entire scheme? Again, I'm not saying that that's the case, but we don't know one way or the other. And when we're talking about a case such as this, I operate from a standpoint of skepticism going into everything. A representative for the office of the New Mexico governor said they had no records of where the royal stayed. So they have no records of him staying at the mansion then, obviously, right? Richardson has denied ever meeting Roberts, while Prince Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing and tried to downplay his friendship with Epstein. It comes after the Sun revealed last week how Epstein ordered a masseuse for the Duke during a visit to L.A. 3 years before Andrew claims they met. And that's funny as well, right? Or a bit ironic, I should say. Getting a girl for a massage in L.A., then probably he went through the Gypsy Gita connection, who we talked about recently as well as acting as one of the people who were providing girls for Jeffrey Epstein in one capacity or another. So that's an interesting little tidbit right there as well. And again, there's always little nuggets in these articles that we read that we can add to the catalog that adds this context, that puts more meat on the bone. And that's exactly what this article established here, folks. He was in New Mexico. Fact. Nobody knows where he stayed. Fact. And he was also at Zorro Ranch. That is a fact, too. And as we continue to follow this story, as information continues to present itself, as more context can be provided, you damn well better believe we'll be here doing all of that. So we'll continue, rocking and rolling today, and we'll continue to follow what's going on and see if any new news is popping off. It's been relatively slow lately, so it's given us some time to add some more context to some of the topics we've talked about, and that's great. That's perfect, because as you all know, the more context, in my opinion, the better. We have to be able to see a clear picture. We have to be able to see the puzzle when it's fully put together. We can't just see pieces and a corner here and a piece there and have a full idea and a quality idea of what's going on in the overall picture. So it's important to continue adding context. It's important to continue to follow all of these threads to their completion. And I have a funny feeling that this Prince Andrew thread is just getting started. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on that cesspool Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. All right, everybody, we'll be back tonight with the Daily Drop.
Between prepping ingredients, setting the table, and planning your tomorrow, sometimes you need an extra hand with dinner. Delta Faucet is here to help. Just ask your connected home device to fill your pasta pot with Delta Faucet Voice IQ technology and fill it with the perfect amount of water. Done. Visit deltafaucet.com/voiceIQ to see how Voice IQ can fill your dog's bowl, wash your hands, and more.
Looking for your next great hire? CareerBuilder is the fastest growing job site in the U.S. with over 140 million candidate profiles and growing. Plus, candidates on CareerBuilder have skills for the most in-demand occupations. Let us help you rebuild and rehire a strong, more diverse workforce fast. CareerBuilder, we're building for you. Visit hiring.careerbuilder.com/recruit.